Good morning. Let me make sure my AirPods are actually connected to my computer and not my phone, because that's less helpful. Okay, I think they're connected. All right, wonderful. Okay. Wednesday morning, day, I don't even know what, of of quarantine, of shelter in place, of video freezing. Goodness, I hope that stops in a moment. Okay, there we go. I now have water. All right, let me quickly fill up this water and we'll get started. Good morning, Rebecca. Thank you so much for hopping on this morning. All right, let's do this in just a moment. Okay, yeah, I'm in my frame there. Okay, so things to have handy if you have them. They're not required. A blanket or towel, a couple yoga blocks, books can work. I've also used my water bottle. We're not doing stuff that necessarily needs 2 blocks this morning. Yeah, that'll probably do it. If you have yourself a yoga strap or something that could fill in as a yoga strap, feel free to grab it. Okay, so let's come to a comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like for your body. For me, this morning it's with my legs tucked under, and I've got a block here underneath. If you'd rather do this portion of class, we'll be here for a couple minutes, so ideally something that, a seated position that isn't going to, draw your attention in a negative way, but a shape you can really settle into. Bear with me, little frog in my throat. Okay. All right, so our practice to start today is just going to be breathing and staying. Sometimes we hop on our mat, we get moving, and it just really makes things better. And then sometimes things that we're going through in our life, or just kind of how we're in our body that day, sometimes there isn't really any better to be had when we're in deep grief, or, we're having to stay sheltered in place for goodness knows how much longer. I think of it akin to driving through Nebraska. Just something I don't recommend ever if you can avoid it, especially not on 80. It is very boring. It's very long. You're like, what have I done to myself? What am I being punished for? That I am driving through this incredibly monotonous landscape. And it can just be so hard to know when it is going to end. It does, or I would not be here before you. I happen to have done this twice by myself. But man. So anyway, sitting through this tough time in history, especially if you've got something going on top of just that, like just being alive right now in this crazy time, that is already pretty difficult. And goodness knows how many more of us, just have other tough things going on. Loss of job, loss of family, loss of, goodness knows what. So, how do we stay, how do we be, you know, when nothing's really going to, provide immediate relief. And something I think about, I've grown tomatoes for the last 2 summers, and each year I've had a battle with aphids, caterpillars, little thingies trying to eat my tomatoes. So frustrating, and I'm never as on top of it as I would like to be. But, something that finally occurred to me one day last summer was, even with, all this stuff going on those tomatoes, a lot of those plants still made great fruit. They made wonderful tomatoes, in spite of, these little bugs and things crawling on them. Like they still made amazing stuff. And so I think just kind of finding that belief in ourselves that there's still a lot of amazingness capable here in these imperfect times, these imperfect conditions that our own imperfect selves are working through. So with that, I think we've already been sitting here more than a couple of minutes because I've been talking. But I hope that gives you something to breathe with and through this morning. So just come into ourselves and just be here. Let your eyes slowly open. Stretch the arms up overhead. Right hand catches left wrist. My left hand's kind of palm facing up to the ceiling here. Pulls it over into a side bend. Inhale to come up from that side bend. Switch sides. Left catches right and pulls it over. Inhale, come back up to center. Whew, pardon my yawn. Interlace all fingers overhead except for your index fingers. Those are pointing out. Inhale, lengthen up a little more. Exhale, side bend to your right. See if you can squeeze those arms a little straighter. Inhale, come up. And side bend left. And try and straighten the arms a little more. Inhale to come up. And release the arms down. All right, let's come into a tabletop on our hands and knees. Okay, so I'll make this way back into my mat. Well, that'll change as we go. All right, let's move through some cat and cow. You'll breathe in, belly down, look up. Exhale, round. Dome your back into your cat, tailbone down. Inhale, arch into cow. Exhale, round and up to cat. Let's do one more. Inhaling to arch. Exhale to round. Up to cat. And come back to a long neutral spine. Sit back on the heels in child's pose. And a note about having the knees down. Feel free to use your blanket or towel padding at any time if that feels better on your knees. And at any time in our practice, you're always welcome to come into a rest shape. Pause for a moment whenever you need to. So this child's pose might be that for you. Okay, but if you need to take a different shape with your body, feel free. Let's come back up to tabletop. Lift up to a downward dog. So main moral of that story is take little breaks whenever you need it in whatever shape helps your body do that. And let's pedal out the and let both heels drop down. Walk the feet forward towards your hands, letting the knees bend as needed. All right. If you do have props like blocks handy, those can be up towards the front of your mat. Let's come into a ragdoll forward fold. And what I mean by that is you're going to bend your knees a lot. Good. And really try and let your spine dangle out of your pelvis here. Head nice and heavy. Good. Let you hold there a bit longer while I drink some water. So this ragdoll forward fold, sometimes for certain bodies, that's a more restful shape. So when I mentioned there could be an alternative to child's pose, that's one I like to mention. Child's pose can be great. It can also be tough on the knees. So I know it's not the most restful shape for everybody. So this ragdoll forward fold is what I recommend as maybe something that feels a little better. Good. Or, here, let's come on up to standing. I've had you hanging out here for a while. All right, so we're going to let our head hang. We're going to slowly come up to standing. First tucking the tailbone under, then stacking the low back on top. Ooh, then middle back, upper back, shoulders, neck, head. Ooh. My back was really, hello to that one. Okay, so let me throw in one more alternative here to a ragdoll forward fold. If you have, say, a chair or I've got a shoe rack here in front of me. Another great way to rest. You could, maybe set blanket or towel there and just kind of rest on top of it here. So kind of giving your upper body that support of child's pose, but you're not having to put that pressure on your knees and your hips. Yeah. So that might be another little rest shape to come into. I'm a big fan of throwing those into your practice anytime that might be helpful for you. All right, so come on up to the top of your mat. All right, let's inhale the arms up and bend your knees down into a chair sit. Belly's gently drawn in, back of pelvis heavy. Find what you don't need to work. Even if, in this pose, it might just be your facial muscles. Shoulders can also be kind of soft-ish. They're working just enough to keep the arms up. Good. All right, and then let's stand up, balance on the right leg. Either lift just your left heel or the left foot entirely. And then left foot down. Let's drop down into a chair sit. And then stand on the left leg and bring the right leg up. Good. So we're going to alternate that a few more times each side. Down to chair and up to right leg and chair. Ultimately, you just make sure you're switching, alternating legs as you come into this balance. Arms can stay up, or if that gets to be a bit much, maybe bring hands to your hips. Remember, you could just lift one heel as you come up. Okay, so if your balance is feeling super funky, just go in the direction of one leg. Okay, let's go one more each side. All right, and come to 2 feet. If you need to do one more rep of those to get yourself even on both sides, do what you need to do. Great. Okay, let's inhale, reach the arms up. This time forwards fold. Keep your spine as long as you can on the way down. Let it round when it needs to. Good. Hands can come to floor or blocks, props. Step the left foot way back on your mat. Lower that left heel down, letting the foot turn out, and come up to warrior two. Okay, so that's going to turn you to this right long side of your mat. Right foot pointing straight forwards. Okay, your left foot, either that pinky edge of the foot is parallel to that short back edge of your mat, or the toes point slightly forwards. But don't force that if it bothers your ankle. Good. Now let's take a few straightening and rebending of the right leg. Good. Let's do that 2 more times. Squeeze straight and bend. Squeeze straight and bend. Now let's keep the front leg bent. Turn the right palm up and side bend to your left. Reversing that warrior. All right, inhale to lift up out of that side bend. Good, turn to face your right leg. Good, and come onto the ball of your back foot. So now we've come to a crescent lunge. Bring the hands down, get to floor or blocks. Good. Let's keep the left hand down on the floor. So it's right under that left shoulder. I'm just moving this block out of the way so you can see my arms kind of right down here under that left shoulder. Good. Bring your right hand to heart center. Good. Press the heart up into the hand. Spin the chest up. Good. And as your rib cage is rotating up, that right knee is squeezing over towards the left elbow. Okay. And then reach the right arm up to the sky. Squeeze that back leg a little straighter. Maybe think of trying to lift that left hip a touch more. Good. Let's bring the right hand down. I'm going to show this side without the blocks just so you get a visual on that. But if you were using them on the first side and it was helpful, please keep using them. Step that left foot forwards to a forward fold. Knees can be bent here whenever that's helpful for you. Step the right foot way back. Spin that heel down. Come up to warrior two on your left side. So left foot is pointing straight forwards. Good. Right pinky edge either parallels the back edge of your mat, or maybe the toes point a little forwards. But again, don't force anything on this ankle that's painful for you. If you've had a lot of ankle sprains, you might need to be gentle with that foot. All right, and let's straighten the left leg and bend it again. And 2 more times, straighten and bend. Great, straighten and bend. Now we're gonna stay in that knee bend. Turn the left palm up, reverse the warrior. You're side bending to your right. Legs are staying the same shape. That left leg is still bent. The right leg is still straight. Inhale to come up. Turn to face that left leg. Lift your, walls can be helpful here. Lift your back heel. That just means that you're coming onto the ball of that back foot. Good. Bring the hands down to floor or props. Good. Right hand stays down on the floor or a block. If the floor is hard to reach, you can come onto fingertips or make a fist with the right hand. Okay. Let's bring the left hand to heart center. Okay. And that presence of the hand there, that's just reminding us to really bring the twist into the rib cage. Really turn the heart center up. That left knee is squeezing over towards the right elbow. They're not going to touch. You're just activating that inner thigh to keep the left foot fully planted. Then take the left arm up to the sky. Maybe that back leg squeezes a little straighter. Maybe the back hip lifts a little higher. Bring the left hand down and step the right foot forwards to a forward fold. Okay. And from here, your next objective is to lie down on your belly. So you can just get on down to your belly however you want. If you feel like pausing a moment in downward dog, then plank, then lowering down, trying to keep that plank tight, either knees down or toes down. Then you can work it there. Goodness, I look very dark. Right, I'll try and fix that in a moment. Arms back along your side. Let's take an inhale and lift up to Shalabhasana, locust pose. Okay. You take a few more breaths in that. I'm gonna just make my lights a little brighter. Good. All right, lower down from your locust. All right, downward dog is your next destination. Then from downward dog, walk or hop your feet forwards. From that forward fold, inhale, come up to a long flat back. And some bend in the knees might help you get longer through the spine. Exhale, fold back down. Inhale to lengthen, then stand all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Okay. All right, so I'm going to face you and be your mirror for this next part. All right, so first let's take a shift front and back, side to side on our feet. So kind of like you're trying to knock yourself over. You're trying to surprise your own feet. All right, and then instead of making standing here as difficult as possible, make it as easy as possible. So just find that place, where the stacking of the bones, where the weight is centered over the feet is as easy as it can be. Okay, take your balance onto your right leg. Grab either over the left shin or under the thigh. Pull that knee up. And take that knee out to the side. Right, and then fold that into Vrikshasana, your tree pose. So like we did with our, kind of marching out of chair pose earlier, you could have the ball of that left foot down, squeeze the heel in against the ankle. That's a great way to work towards that one-legged balance, and especially if you're having to just like every half second tap that foot back down. I really encourage you to, just keep the foot down. Just have less of the foot down. Like, give your body this idea, give it that reference association with balance being easy. Show your body it's possible. And if that means, reining in the challenge, shall I say, I think that's often worth it, to tell our bodies like, hey, balancing on one leg, it could be like this. It doesn't have to be always like this. It could be like this. Okay, so next you have the option to stay in tree or hook that left ankle up just above that right knee and then bend the standing leg. Good. Start to, come into a one-legged figure four chair. Okay, if you have a wall or chair handy, feel free to use them. Also feel free to stay in chair if you're feeling groovy there. Great, and let's stand up. Ooh, back to 2 feet. Maybe a little shake or thank you. Roll around the ball of that foot for the standing leg. And then yes, of course, we will do that other side. All right, so stand on the left leg, grab the right shin or thigh, give that knee a squeeze up. Ooh, there's my neck. Good, all right. Take that out to the side. Good, fold it into your tree. And again, whatever shape that tree happens to be for your body. Good morning, Sharon. All right, option to stay in tree or to hook that right ankle over left knee. Good. For this one, the sooner you start to bend down into that standing leg, easier it is to keep this leg lifted because that standing thigh makes a shelf. Whew. And then there's other things about bending the standing leg that make it harder, but we won't dwell on that for at least a couple more breaths. All right, and let's stand on up. Oh, shake things out. Enjoy that gift of 2 feet. All right, come on up to the top of your mat. And we're going to move through what I always like to call in my Oakland classes a choose your own adventure vinyasa. All right, so we start standing. We inhale the arms up. Exhale, dive that down to a forward fold. So you are welcome to stay here. We are going to cycle back around to this forward fold in just a moment. You're welcome to stay here, especially if you're wanting to go easier on your wrists, your shoulders this morning. Or palms down, walk or hop the feet back to downward dog. This is another shape your adventure might stay in for a few breaths. Or you can shift forward to a high plank. Good. You could also just kind of do a little plank downward dog motion. That's another option. Or chaturanga to back bend flow. So from straight legs or knees down, you slowly lower down to your belly. Inhale to arch up to a cobra or an upward dog. And then use an exhale to lift that up and back to downward dog. All right, so my apologies to anyone for all that extra little explanation was stuff you've heard me say before. But in this new medium, there's always a possibility of new people watching who are less familiar with what I say. So I'm trying to be mindful of that and give more explanations when it might be helpful. All right, walk or hop the feet forwards. So if you've been in forward fold this time, told you we were coming back to meet you, and here we are. Good. From that forward fold, inhale, come up to a long flat back. Exhale, fold back down. Inhale to lengthen, then stand all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. All right, so let's stand at the top of our mat. So where we're going next, if you use a prop, book, block, something for the twist before, you might still want it, or your body might allow you to go into a different shape. So here we go. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Let's bring our arms up and our left leg up, either just that left heel or fully lift the foot. It's just for a moment till we step that back to a crescent lunge. So you're on the ball of your back foot. Your feet are at least hip distance apart. You don't need to feel like you're on a tightrope. Okay? So, or the feet could even be a little wider apart than your hips. There's no one exact width they have to be. All right. Bring the right hand down to the right thigh. Really squeeze it up into your hip crease. Give lots of space below this hand for that left elbow to potentially land. So you're going to press down into the right hand, squeeze that left arm up a little more. Get some stretch in the front of the body. Now with an exhale, bring that left elbow across. You're still pressing into that right hand. It's helping you bring that left elbow across. If the left elbow lands, great. Bring the palms together, thumbs in close to heart center. Use that to deepen this twist. Yeah? If that's not a place your left elbow is going today. Left hand down on prop or block. Same twist we did earlier. You're still doing yoga. All right, sits bones, squeezing back towards the left heel. All right, so tell those legs we're about to go into warrior two. Then inhale, lift up out of that twist. Arms up. Spin your left heel down, open up to warrior two. Flip the right palm up, reverse your warrior, side bending to your left. And now keep the side bend to your left, straighten the right leg. Tip that over to Trikonasana, your triangle pose. So the floor and your legs, are making a triangle. Right hand comes down to somewhere on that right leg. Left arm reaches up to the ceiling. Good. And let's do what we did in our first twist. I'm going to flip around so my chest is facing you for a moment here. All right, so bring left hand to heart center. Press that heart center up into your hand, lifting that rib cage up a little more, and pressing into that right arm can help accomplish that as well. And then just reach that left arm up again. Let me get her back. Look at this. Good. And then bend the right knee. Come back up to warrior two. Good. And then step that left foot forwards, however many steps it takes to get it back to the front of your mat. Inhale, arms and right leg up. Just a moment in balance. And step that right foot way back to your crescent lunge. So again, our feet are at least hip distance apart, maybe even wider. You're on the ball of that back foot. Okay. So left hand up and onto that left thigh, right up into the hip crease. Press down into the left hand. Take a little lift of the chest. Keep pressing into that left hand to help you rotate and bring that elbow maybe over to the left thigh. Good. Or come into the same twist we did earlier with the right arm down and the left arm up. Yeah? It's a lot taking that elbow over to that opposite thigh. Okay. Left sits bones, squeezing back towards the right heel.
The series centers on the bone presence, like all cartoon caricatures.
All right, tell your legs, we're going into warrior two. And then inhale, lift up out of that twist. Good, spin your right heel down, open up to face the left side. Warrior two. Flip the left palm, reverse your warrior. Side bending to your right. And keep the side bend straight in the left leg. And tip that over to triangle, so you're sassing that right hip up. Stretching the upper body out to your left. Left hand lands wherever it does on that left leg. So it might be fairly high, maybe even like above the knee. Okay, if that's where you can really keep that in the legs, that's fine, let that be. Okay, and then spring right hand to heart center. Push the heart center up into your hand. A little press into that left arm can help with that as well. And then just extend the right arm up again. We're aiming to stack right arm on top of the left here as if they are one long bone. Bend the left knee. Bring that back up to warrior two. Okay, straighten the left leg. Both legs are straight now. Bring the feet parallel to each other. Hands on hips. Inhale, lengthen through the top of the head. Exhale, start to hinge forwards. Good. So your hands can stay on the hips. They can come down to the floor or a block, or if there's something like a chair or shoe rack available, you could put your hands up on something higher, maybe up on your couch. Okay, so stay firm in these quad muscles. They are pulling those kneecaps up. So you want to think of the kneecaps going up towards the hips as opposed to jamming into the backs of the knees, especially if your bone structure, your ligament structure allows you to hyperextend your legs. And let's take a little bend of the knees, hands to hips. Inhale, stand on up. Good. Okay. Let's come down to sitting. And so I'm going to give you a little more leeway for this seated position today. If you did your first sitting position at the beginning of class up on a chair, this might be a great time to be on that chair again. Or legs tucked under you, maybe with a block, or maybe you sit cross-legged. All right. All right. So just to do some nice simple twist before we do some back bending. Okay. So let's inhale the arms up. Exhale, twist to your right. Okay. So if you're sitting up on, say, a block, you cannot bring this back arm to the floor, then you might, with the palm facing out, start to slide this hand behind your back. You might even grab that hand for a moment with the other one to kind of help give it a little more pull around. And then this front arm can grab a hold of the outer thigh. So if you're sitting in a chair and you have space to, I would recommend scooting enough forwards that you could bring this back arm down. You could bring the hand onto the chair somewhere. And by that I mean like the seat of the chair as opposed to the back of the chair. All right, and unwind your twist. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, twist to your left. Front arms reaching to the outside of that thigh. Back arm coming around. And you might give that back arm a little assist around if that feels good to you. All right, let's unwind from our twist. All right, and come up to either kneeling onto knees. You could also do this standing. If you're kneeling, feel free to give yourself some padding with a towel or a blanket. If even that does not make the knees happy, then just stand instead. Yeah? Okay. So, from kneeling, okay, either bring two hands to heart center or maybe a block or some such prop. Basically, you're just giving that heart center a surface to press up into. And for our first little warm-up camel here, that's all we're doing, okay? So, heart center lifts, lifts, lifts up into your prop or up into your hands. And the amount that your head kind of goes back and up, that depends on how much your chest is lifting. So that's all. For our first camel here this morning, that's all this is going to be. Exhale to lower the chest back down. Good, and let's take a little rest moment. So if you were standing, maybe you sit on your chair or your couch for a second. And if you're kneeling, maybe you're sitting on your heels or a block. All right, we're gonna come back up onto 2 knees or 2 feet. All right, so just lifting that heart center up into a surface, your hands or a prop. If that felt like a great way to do this, do it again. You're still doing yoga. It's not like things don't have to go like further and further and further every time, right? So again, staying, very valid, often undervalued choice. Okay, putting my blocks back here, but honestly, I'm not sure if my hands are gonna make it that far this morning. They might not make it, we'll see. All right, so one more camel. I'm gonna go ahead and start with my hands on my heart center. If you like to start with them on your back, that's a way that we often do this. Feel free to work that. But I kind of like how this touch here is reminding me to really think of this upward lift. Camel is such an easy one to think about going back first. Just quite understandable. Okay, so hands might come down to blocks or heels. They might not. It's camel either way. It's yoga either way. Keep pressing those hips forwards. You're feeling those butt cheeks squeeze like crazy to keep the hips stacked over the knees and not drop back behind them. Okay. Bring yourself back when you are ready. All right. Our next objective is to lie down on our backs. Without knocking the water glass over. All right, once you are down on your back, hook your knees into your chest. All right, and then we're gonna come into a figure 4. Swivel around so you can see my legs from this angle. And hook the right ankle on your left thigh, and then pull the left leg in towards you. So you might be clasping your hands around the back of that thigh, or the hands might easily reach over the shin. And you're encouraging your tailbone to stay on the mat as much as possible. Okay, and if you want to add some more intensity to the stretch in that right glute, then that right knee can press itself away forwards as you are pulling the left leg in. But try not to let that sway the hips. So try and keep both sides of the waist equally long. Another variation you might add to this is extending that left leg however much you can. And most likely, the extension of this left leg is going to put more emphasis on the left hamstring. So if that's feeling good to you, great. If you're like, no, I really just want to focus on my right outer hip here on this glute area, that's feeling more important to me, then maybe don't worry about doing anything else with that left leg. Just focus on the right side. All right, let go of the left leg. That's going to straighten and go down onto your mat. You turn back to sideways for this part. Hug that right knee into your chest. So we're not done with this right leg yet. We are now going to take that right knee across to a twist. Knee goes to the left, head and chest turn to your right. Exhale to unwind out of your twist. And let's bring both knees in for a moment. Just kind of even out the back. And then hook your left ankle on the right thigh. And then the legs draw in. Actually, one more note I should say about this. You might get enough stretch just by putting that left ankle on the right thigh and leaving the right foot on the floor. Okay? So if the hips are tight, that is often enough stretch. Right? So totally fine to honor that if that's where your body is at. Okay? Or you can clasp the hands over the right thigh or over the right shin. If you want to add to the sensation in that left hip, then that left knee might press itself forwards. But don't let that make the left side of the waist longer than the right. Still aim to keep that spine nice and long on the mat and the waist long on both sides. Option 2, extend your right leg. Let's release that figure 4, straighten the right leg, let that go down onto the mat. Hug that left knee into your chest. I'm doing a little scoot so I've got room to twist here. Take the left knee over to your right. That's it. And then chest turn to your left. Long story short, twist to the other direction. And unwind your twist. Pull both knees into your chest. Good. Even out the back. Maybe lift your head for a moment. Try and touch your forehead to your knees. All right. And let that go. Stretch out into your Shavasana. So if extending the legs out feels good, your rest can be here. And if it feels better to have a little something under your knees, like a rolled up blanket or pillow, or knees bent, feet flat, if that feels better. So basically just putting your body in a shape where you can really just rest and settle into for a couple minutes here. Come back to your breath. Stretch your arms up overhead, reaching back for the floor. Bend your knees, roll over onto one side. And from your side, use both hands to push yourself up to sitting. Palms together at your heart. Let's close our practice by chanting one Om all together. First exhale fully, and then a deep inhale. Thank you so much for joining in this practice this morning. Namaste. Or for joining in after the fact, after we've gone live. I hope you're staying well, staying healthy, or just getting through each day, each moment, however you need to. I think, so many of us are just in that place because of everything going on. So if you liked this video, clicking the thumbs up, subscribing to this channel will help support these online endeavors. While I'm not able to teach in person, I do very much miss. So I hope they will be back to that someday. Thank you, you too, Sharon. Namaste. Donation info, I don't think it's in the description for this video. I don't think there's any description yet. But it is my PayPal and Venmo and such. If that's within your means, that is in the description of other videos, and I can add that into this one in just a moment. Feel free to message me. I think you can do that through YouTube, or my email will be in the description once I add it in. Feel free to email with any questions, requests, what have you. Thank you so much. Let's keep going.